Hello, everybody. This is us. Oh, hi. Yeah, come down. Come down. People are still finding their seats. Welcome. Take a pew. Thank you very much for coming along. I'm Lauren Laverne. Delighted to be here. Good festival so far. What's the mood in the room? A reserved fireworks display type reaction. Excellent. Okay, well, welcome. Thank you very much for making time to come to this controller session. Joining us in conversation today, we have controller of ITV, Kevin Lygo.
Yes.
We're going to be talking to Kevin. Radio Times called him a well-liked maverick who isn't afraid to take risks. I'm sure you know in his early days as controller of Channel 4, he commissioned, among other things, Spaced, TFI Friday and Big Brother, and in his first year in the job at ITV, he has persuaded a record number of TV viewers to enjoy Piers Morgan for breakfast.
I can only apologise now.
He's made Queen Victoria sexy and caused a stir with The Nightly Show. We may touch upon some or all of those things today in our session. He's going to be giving us a glimpse of some upcoming commissions, telling us what's worked, what hasn't worked so well, and what the channel is looking for in 2018. We're also going to be hearing from ITV's head of Factual, Sue Murphy, who joins me here. Sue's going to be telling us what her department have got planned for the next season and giving us a bit of an insight into what they're looking for as well. And we have Sue Green, who's head of entertainment at ITV. Shue's gone from producing TV programmes at Psycho to commissioning them at ITV. We're going to be finding out her perspective, what's on her wish list for the upcoming seasons, and hopefully some tips on how to pitch successfully as well. If you do have a question, why not send it in anonymously via the app? I would do so while you can, because I just noticed this, which seems like potential trouble ahead. But I have your questions coming in here anonymously, so do send us them via the app. Okay, so welcome, controller of ITV, Kevin Lygo.
Yes, come on.
So you're going to talk us through a little bit of ITV's drama.
Yes, to start off with, I shall be channeling, what's it called? Channeling Polly Hill, because Polly Hill can't be here, couldn't be bothered. It's been noted. Whereas full bonuses around here. But no, Polly's on holiday. So just, I'll bluff my way through the drama 10-minute section.
Okay.
What would you like to know about drama?
Well, I think first we should have a little peek, shouldn't we, at what's been going on. Let's have a look at an overview of some of ITV's drama offerings.
No, it's really good. And I suppose, so that's next year, early next year. It's a three-parter written by Mike Bartlett, who is a wonderful playwright and has written successful TV shows as well. And I suppose to rewind a second, what drama has to do on the channel is it's nearly always at 9 o'clock. There's some at 8, but mainly it's at 9. And I think our challenge at 9 o'clock is to get people to come to the channel who are lighter viewers of it generally. So essentially, you want to square the circle, and we can talk about this a bit later, of the regular heartland viewers of ITV, which predominantly means people who like the soaps. And there's a lot of them, there's 7-8 million of them. But if you don't watch the soaps, you think, oh, there's soaps on early in the week. What's on at 9? And drama is the biggest driver for us to get these lighter viewers, which are so commercially important and spreads the word of ITV more. So what Polly and the team are doing with drama is trying to make mainstream, populist, grabby, interesting drama. And in the sort of Venn diagram of everything you'd like to be in a drama, you occasionally hit the sweet spot. And I think this does. And part of it is working with really successful established writers who've got something to say, casting it in a way you can see with Adrian Lester and John Sim, how casting it big, and everybody would say these are wonderful actors at the top of their game, and then giving them something which you'd feel is a bit more challenging than maybe you would have expected. So it's not as black and white as John Sim's son is tragically stabbed randomly in the street, goes to the hospital. Adrian Lester is a flash surgeon who tries to save his life. This isn't a spoiler alert. And the child dies. And so the programme becomes, the whole story becomes about John Sim becoming obsessed with Adrian Lester, and did he make a mistake? And we don't know, and Mike plays in that space, and so it's gripping, it's a sort of psychological thriller as well, but it's just a really interesting piece of drama, and hopefully it's the sort of thing, a bit like Dr. Foster, that Mike wrote before, would be sort of catch the mood and everybody would talk about it.
Okay. I mean, over the past year, you've seen some real successes. We've already mentioned Victoria, which I think is coming back soon.
Yeah, next week.
Unforgiven, critically acclaimed, and Broadchurch's swan song.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the year gone by? Are you happy with that?
Yes, I think it's been very good. It's all my own work, obviously. The last series of Broadchurch was extraordinary because it showed, when you've got the right thing in the right place, just a truckload of people will come. So it's certainly the most successful drama this year on Anywhere. More people watched the sort of final episode than watched all the previous series of Broadchurch, and it went out on a big high. And it goes to show that there'll be loads of debates across Edinburgh, I'm sure, about mainstream audiences and are you dwindling and all the rest of it. And Broadchurch shows you, just in one little microcosm, that if you get it right, they'll come in droves. And so the drama's been really strong so far this year. And this autumn, I think the one to watch, there's some returning big hits, like Doc Martin is back this year. As you say, Victoria comes back, Cold Feet comes back. But there's some new ones as well. And there's a really good one called Liar coming up soon, starring Joanna Froggatt. And again, it's one of those ones that I hope everybody starts to talk about, because it's about rape, but it's did this man rape this girl or did he not? And we don't quite know at the beginning what the real story is, and we see two sides of it, and everybody should be fighting in their homes about, yes, he did, no, he didn't, yes, he did.
Starting a conversation,
yeah. And, but it's brilliantly acted and beautifully made, and written by Jack and Harry Williams, and should be great.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Right, okay, well, that's drama done and dusted. We're going to get into the other stuff a little bit later. Up next, I have Sue Murphy, as I mentioned, head of Factual Entertainment. Sue, you've got a very broad remit across FactEnts, and I think we've got quite a chunky clip to watch to give us a sense of that. So we'll pick up on the other side of it, if that's okay. All right, let's have a look at what's been going on in FactEnts. But yeah, obviously we can see the breadth there, but talk me through those three choices.
Okay, so the reason I chose those three collectively, I think we might be going on to talk about crime pattern, we've got time, but is, I've been at ITV about a year, and what I've realised is it's basically about very big stories that people care about now. And you can wrap it up in any kind of way, but if you can get that right, I think it shows that we can get a big audience to Factual on ITV, so we can't hide behind, it's very difficult. It is very difficult doing Factual ITV, but we can't hide behind that. And I think the other reason I chose those three is that I think we're sort of driving more towards, we'll still obviously do series and what we're turning series, but driving much more towards events on in the schedule. And I think those three things are all things which will, two were events, and hopefully one will be an event in the schedule. And I think, so, the sort of the big message today, and particularly for 9 o'clock, is looking for big, noisy, talk about shows that we hope will attract a kind of large audience, but also sort of big collective viewing where, the consolidators are important, but live TV is still really important. And I think sort of those three examples, certainly two of them, are examples where a lot of people came to the show when it was broadcast at 9 o'clock.
So it's really an event watch.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit then about the real crime strand. Is that something that you're interested in doing more of?
Yeah, so I think last year at Edinburgh we said we're going to be doing more crime, and this autumn we are, and that's the season trail, which showcases sort of the big name talent that are going on these journeys for us. And so Trevor will also be, he wasn't on the sizzle, but he will be in it. The Don will be involved in the season. And it's basically on a certain night of the week, which I don't think we're going to announce yet, but midweek, we're giving the schedule over to Crime and Punishment, and they are a succession of short series and films, where, as I say, sort of household names go into different extreme hidden worlds.
And is that the kind of thing that you're looking for more of, and more kind of iterations of that?
Absolutely. I mean, look, if it dies on its arse when it goes out in the autumn, no. But I think we feel, and sort of I certainly feel, that crime's a big ITV subject matter, and I think, you know, it's a short hop from some of the great drama. And again, I think it's a really big subject that people really care about. And I think also it's, I think that we've got form. So, you know, even before kind of Netflix came to the party, ITV were doing a lot of crime, and actually Jo Clinton-Davis in my department, Controller Factual, she's consistently over the years done prison docs, mafia docs, and they've generally brought a very big audience to it. So I think it's something that our audience got a big appetite for.
So that's what you're looking for. What about what hasn't worked, what you're kind of done with and moving on from, or shifting focus away from?
I think that what hasn't worked, I don't want to name things because, you know, people kind of kill themselves making them, but I think our smaller, quieter ideas, which are often beautifully made but don't really punch through. I think that straight observational documentary making, unless it's in a massive institution, I think is really, really hard to punch through now on ITV. We had this very small thing, but we've just had a very short series of EasyJet, and when it was pitched to us again a year ago by ITN, they said, you know, we'll do an access doc inside EasyJet. I think it's worth talking about because I think it's an example of where you can just tweak something and make it work for ITV because it's done very well for us. And we were like, well, we've seen that a million times. And they said, yeah, but this is, you know, a rig inside all the cockpits of the planes. But it's not only that, but actually it's in the summer where they're training up 300, I think it is, wet behind the ears, very, very, very young pilots. And at the time I was teaching my teenage son to drive, and it was absolutely terrifying. And I just thought, I can't believe EasyJet are going to give us access whilst they've got these newbies in the cockpit. And actually it's turned into being a very entertaining, funny, but also really revealing and interesting series. And it's done well for us. But I think it's done well because, as I say, it's entertaining. It was a brilliant trial, actually. But also, you know, it had something new to say, and it had a little bit of attitude to it. So I think that's what we're looking for, is something that isn't totally straight and boring and seen it a million times before.
And you're talking about, you know, shows punching through and kind of creating a conversation in a moment. How big a part is social media in that for you? You know?
Well, I think it is in terms of, I mean, sort of from my perspective, you know, of course, like every telly person, I sit at home and, you know, I look at Twitter and sometimes it's going mental. It doesn't necessarily translate into ratings. But where I think it's really helpful for us in Factual is less about every show's got to be interactive, but it's actually in the way we market the shows. So I think our marketing guys are really clever about kind of, you know, sending the message out on lots and lots of different platforms. And I think when we've got something that we're proud of and we think is very good, it's like the Wilful Monty, which is my favourite thing of the year. They did brilliant social media stuff, you know, and it kind of had a lot of fun. It was very naughty, but it was always nice. So I think it's important in that respect, but not yet, I think, for ITV1, really important in terms of social media within the programmes. Not for me, anyway.
Do you feel that anything's missing in the picture overall?
Yeah, more hits, more 9 o'clock hits, more big new reality shows, more big new fact-dent shows. I feel as if a lot of the programmes, Factual programmes and fact-dent and formats that I see on British TV, and not just on ITV actually, most of them have been around, sort of the successful ones, about 10 years. And it just feels like, come on, you know, we've got to reinvent it and do it all over again. I think it's a massive opportunity for people sitting in this room.
And is there a genre that particularly excites you?
Well, yeah, fact-dent is my passion. So I love...
But within that world that we've just seen...
I think reality is really interesting, new kinds of reality. And we've got a couple of new reality shows coming up, which are... well, one's sort of entertaining doc reality, which is called Gone to Pot, where we take a bunch of ageing national treasures and send them to America to find out what it would look like when you legalise cannabis. And should we do it here? So they're going to sort of, you know, vape, munch, smoke their way across the States. And the thing
any insight in the casting there?
Who's, I can't. I really wanted to, and they're like, oh, they'll all lose their visas, and no, you can't do it. So they've sworn me to 60, but they're really, really, really good names. We're doing another one, which is called the 100 Years Younger Experiment, which basically, I knew the minute they gave me the title I was going to commission it. I just needed to get it past Kevin. And it just kind of asked, you know, I think one of the jobs we can do at ITV is kind of try and, I mean, sort of Factual and Fact is try and answer the questions that our viewers have, you know, the big questions about their everyday lives. And I think that's either sort of soft current affairs or, you know, can we, as Cher said, can we really turn back time, you know? So we're basically, it's a very radical...
She wouldn't know, that's the whole thing of that song.
Exactly, but we're going to. We're Cher Fowler. So it's a radical anti-aging experiment. So we're going to take a bunch of well-loved, well-worn, famous faces, and we're going to take them to a blue zone in Europe where there are more older people than anywhere else, and we are going to, through a very, very extreme regime, try to get them to lose years from the outside and the inside.
How
so
interesting.
collectively to lose 100 years younger. So it's that sort of fun, entertaining, big noisy show that we're after. And I think sort of, you know, it's sort of almost any subject. I was thinking, I always used to say, well, I don't want depressing subjects and I don't want debt and divorce, you know. But I kind of thought, if I was here last year and someone said you're going to be doing a show and it's going to be your favourite thing, it's going to be about cancer, I would have thought, no way. But it's just about the way that you do it, I think. And I'm really... I love it when you can take something that's really important but wrap it up in an entertaining wrapping, so you're sort of almost dragging people screaming to it by stealth, and then you're giving them documentary hinterland or a sort of, you know, message.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Sue Murphy. All right. I'm now going to speak to Sue Green, who is Head of Entertainment. Sue, should we have a look at what you've been doing in your department? Let's take a look. So to keep him busy, that's fair to say. I mean, you know, as I mentioned, you were previously head of TV at Psycho and you know, now commissioning. How has it been and what have you been working on since you
Well, in some ways, it hasn't changed at all because I've stayed close to the shows, which was the thing that I said to Kevin, if I'm doing the job, I've got to stay close to the shows. So as long as I'm doing that, I'm all right. And so what we've been doing is we've been doing that. We launched The Voice and The Voice Kids as well as those shows, and keeping them at the top of the game and fresh and still making you feel like your heart's going to burst out of your chest is everything, because even though they're there and they're so solid and rock solid, to keep them there is not easy. And everybody here, we all know what that's like. Everyone goes, oh, it's just going to happen. Well, no, it's not. It takes so much creativity. And I think sometimes, very often, you've got to push the creativity, because when something's successful, you might want to keep it safe, but you know, one of the things that Simon taught me was when it's doing so well, you can be a bit vulnerable, but that's when you've got to keep pushing as well. And so keeping those there, and then we've been starting to commission some new stuff. There's a show called Let's Laugh in Vegas that it's going to be a 5-part series that's on midweek at 9 o'clock that came out of a brainstorm when I went to see the guys at Shivering Leeds, and it's taking 8 old gold legends like Cannonball and Bobby Crush, and when I came to, I've said this before, but when I came to pitch it to Kevin about the casting, I put all 8 that we wanted, and I said to Kevin, this would have been the nightly show in 1978 if you'd have been doing it, but it's and we're going to go and do it in Vegas, make a show, and it's all about them and their history and everything that they've done. It's going to be wonderful, and we even filmed Cannonball getting the call to say that they were going to go to Vegas. They didn't know that they were going to get the call. And it's absolutely amazing. So, and none of them have ever played it. So it's brilliant. So we've done that. We've got a series coming called Bromans that I'm doing with Carl, wherever he is here. Carl, love it. It was going to be called Gladiators, it couldn't. We had to, and then it's called Bromans. Sorry, Jenny. But, and anyway, it's 8 couples, like Love Island couples who've gone to Rome and are learning, are going to do tasks to find out who is the ultimate lad. And it is absolutely hilarious. It's funny, it's sharp. One of the lads said, what's he called? Anyway, Joe, I think, and Jade, and they're from Huddersfield. And I said, how are you getting on? He said, it's brilliant finding out how Maid Marian lived. It is absolutely, it's funny, it's witty, and what we're always trying to do with all that we do is try and do it in a way that feels original. So that for me is a big thing. Even if we've got to go in it and try and do ways that you go, you know what, I've seen it before and it's got to have funny bones. Because in the end, when you're putting your heart and soul into things, you want to spend them with, you want to spend everything with, you want to spend time doing things that you really believe in. And one of the things that I realised, which I didn't know until you could become a commissioner, is that I don't have the power. In the end, I've got to pitch it, go in and pitch it to Kevin too. So you want to work with people, because this is why you're all here. You're here, how are we going to get in? How are we going to get our shows away? If I'm a little company or a bigger company, can I still get to work on ITV? The answer is you blooming well can, because it's all about the ideas. And I've worked with 80% of the people that I've met in this last year I never knew. And so for me, that's been one of the most amazing things, to meet new people who want to come with their ideas, and you go together. Obviously, I see loads, and I only go into Kevin either with the producer or on my own. I'm only going to pitch him what I really believe in.
And what about that initial pitch to you?
Yeah.
How do you like to work, and what advice can you give
Well,
people
it's a
in the room?
conversation. It starts with a conversation, and sometimes we can hit gold when we're chatting about what we want to do, and sometimes it's going to take time, and sometimes maybe it's never going to come, but you've got to die trying. And so, for example, there was a show that Game Face came in. I didn't know Adam Adler. He came in, he'd got an idea. It was about couples. The couples, they were doing something. The couples together that he'd got on a sort of a bit of a tape thing, they were all quite newly married. So as you know, when you're newly married, you all get on, it's all great. And I was like, look, it's dry. We need to think about Jack and veering it up a bit. And so we gave them 10 grand. They went away. They got this couple from Junction 39, magic number on the motorway. And they came back and they were absolutely arguing like Billy, and it really, really made us laugh. Now we're making a fully funded pilot. As I say, I'd never met them. So it's baby steps, but you can get there. It's just about us being together and knowing that I will always, if we're going in it and then we're going up to Kevin with it, we're going there because I believe that we can make it, and I think it would be a hit.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Sue. Thank you. All right, very insightful. Thank you, guys. Well, we will start to take a bit of a deeper dive with Kevin next, but before we do that, let's take a look at the ITV showreel. What's coming up? So, Kevin, last year you were sat in that chair or a very similar chair, fresh to the job, lots of ideas. You've been there a year. Are you happy with how it's gone?
Oh, heavens. Yes. I think it's been a very good year so far for ITV. I mean, I feel bereft without my outriders now. But yeah, I think, you know, on a basic level, the ratings are up. The ratings were up last year. The ratings have gone up again this year, which is no mean feat in the modern world when everyone talks about, oh, it's nothing but decline. So in that measurement, which is a really key one for ITV, things are going really well. Am I happy with all the shows? No. Can we do more? Yes. All the rest of it. And I suppose I identified quite early on, after obviously I'd fired everybody, that the thing to do with ITV is to concentrate on the long-running shows that have been around for a long while. And often they get neglected, taken for granted, they're not talked about enough. And one of the things I did by hiring Shu was to say concentrate on these great big entertainment shows. There haven't really been any new entertainment shows in almost 10 years that have taken the world by storm. These shows, X Factor, I'm a Celebrity, Britain's Got Talent, they've been running, Strictly Come Dancing on the Beeb, have been running a long time. And I think at the beginning nobody believed they would run this long. But what we now know is that they can, that in fact I'm a Celebrity was this year was, last autumn was the highest rating one for about 5 years. I think we can keep these shows at this enormous side, and that's great, and everybody likes that. It applies to the soaps. You know, people in our industry, in the bubble, I'm sure tonight John Snow's McTaggart will be a bit about the media bubble and the elite and the not elite, and we don't often talk in these rooms about shows that have been on for a long time, like Coronation Street, like Emmerdale, like the majority of our daytime output. But these are vitally important to ITV, and what we have to do as a broadcaster is put a lot of resource and effort and energy into keeping those shows fresh and good. Because if your bankers start to go down, you really feel it. And, you know, the idea, everyone, you know, if they moan about, oh, well, who is X Factor again, you kind of think, yeah, starts with about 8 million people. You know, if you've got a new show, anybody that's going to get 8 million, I'll take it now. So it's about, no, let's keep the energy up. And you can see Little Miss Dynamite here. It's about rejuvenating these shows and keeping them going. So that's been a major part of what we've done, as well as obviously trying out a lot of new stuff.
I mean, it has been quite a tough year, especially in prime time. You know, 8 p.m.'s been difficult, declines at 9 and 10. So if you've got audience ratings down and ad revenues down, you know, for you, how do you mitigate that as a controller of a commercial channel?
They're not, honestly, I don't think, I've been told they're not down. I would say you keep experimenting, you refresh the tried and tested, and you keep experimenting with new things. So with the drama, as we said, it is about, can you build new shows that will run for several years, if you're lucky, and grow, even like Broadchurch did. You know, Downton came to an end, we sort of missed that, but Victoria's come along. Victoria starts again this Sunday, next Sunday, and is, you know, a big hit for us, and a kind of saw off Poldark, and now will become a sort of staple of our output. Similarly, Cold Feet was, some risk to bring that back, but it was a much beloved show, did really well, it's come back again. So that mixed with some of the new clips you've seen of dramas is one way of dealing with all that.
I think this time last year you said you wanted to create a Cold Feet for the under 35s, for the, you know, that new generation.
I was lying.
Were you lying? Okay. Well, I was going to check about that. I mean, does it matter to you that under 35s are watching less TV if they're coming to ITV2 in droves?
No, I mean, look, you just want... ITV is about big shows, mainstream shows, popular shows. We're an entertainment channel with a sort of vital news division, and our job is to get the biggest audiences. I saw a fantastic chart, actually, the other day, which was in commercial television, listing the top, you know, the most rated shows. And the first 675 shows this year were on ITV. I thought, yeah, stuff you guys. So I was focused at that point on ITV being about getting these big, exciting events. And that's why Sue talks about the Full Monty, because it did really well and everybody talked about it. You could see with the Diana doc, I think we were alert and alive to that. We were the first one out, and it's got nearly 12 million viewers now. So you can bring enormous volume to these shows on the channel. And with young people, you know, the undoubted hit of this year was Love Island, and that was a show that was purely about young people watching, and more people watched that than watched anything ever. And so I think with ITV on the main channel, honestly, you just want as many people as you can all the time.
Okay.
And so the thing I've shifted slightly with the digital channels is that ITV2 primarily is not interested in just bulk. It wants 16 to 34s. That's all we sell. That's how we make our living. And the target for ITV2 in the first phase was up your 1634s. Who's the market leader in 1634s? It's in fact E4, has been for years. And it's right, well, come on, how can we get there? And we've now overtaken E4, which is the first time ever that more 1634s are watching ITV2 than that. And that's to do with Seth MacFarlane and the tunes late at night. But Love Island comes in and shows that it sort of busts the myth, I think, that young people don't want to watch telly. They don't watch it when you give it to them. It was on every night at 9 o'clock for 7 weeks. I mean, it was brilliantly made, and Richard Cowes and his team were fantastic about that. But, you know, it just, for me, signals, no, of course mainstream telly and everything isn't over. This is over 3 million people watched the final, and they were nearly all between 16 and 34.
Tempting, though, to move it to ITV1 under those sets.
No, honestly, I wouldn't move it to ITV1 because as soon as you move it onto ITV1, yes, you would get a higher rating, but you would lose some of the cachet, some of the cool, some of the young viewers, and you would gain some of the older viewers, which we can get with lots of other stuff. So I think it's best kept doing an incredible job on ITV2, being the great standout talk about show of the summer. It is very similar to the way Big Brother was all those years ago on Channel 4 when we were doing it. And so Love Island is a phenomenon of this year. They're so rare, these big hits, for young people, that, you know, it's all hail everybody who made that show.
And what about, I mean, obviously looking after the kind of core bulk of your daytime output, as you say, and the really kind of big properties, but what about the bold choices? Because you did say recently that you're willing to be bold when it comes to drama. And, you know, what's bold for Kevin Lygo? What are you looking for?
Well, a word on daytime. I think that, you know, when I first joined ITV 6-7 years ago, they just changed Good Morning Television into Daybreak, what it was called, and it didn't work. And the pain when you're in a broadcaster of a show that isn't working, when it's on every day for several hours, is pretty intense. And so it's taken a long time and a lot of people's hard work to get GMB really cooking now. And I think Piers plays a big role in that, but so does Susanna and the whole team. And now I think it is undoubtedly the case that we've sort of fixed our breakfast proposition. And that, honestly, in a very binary way, passes on through the rest of the daytime. So because GMB is up quite considerably this year, it means that so is Lorraine, so is Jeremy Kyle, so is This Morning, so is Loose Women. They are all up in share and volume this year. And so, you know, keeping your eye on that is as important, if not as maybe as flashy and exciting, as finding some new thing. But getting those shows to work is a very satisfying feeling, I have to say.
And you said, I mean, you have put yourself out there with this very bold entertainment slate and taken risks in the past year. You know, Don't Ask Me, Ask Britain, Alien Fun Capsule, Big Heads, The Nightly Show. How much of a success has that boldness been?
Do you know, I think just trying it was good in itself. I think sent a signal out from the station to people's homes that we are trying new things. Of course, not all of them are going to work, but and some of them don't work, but you absolutely love them. Like Harry Hill's Fun Capsule, I thought was honestly a brilliant programme, and Harry back at the top of his game and all the rest of it didn't rate very well. But we are going to bring that back. It comes back beginning of next year. So it's a blend. And I mean, with something like The Nightly Show, you know, there was kind of disproportionate attention on it because I think everybody in the industry kind of wants one of those shows to work because we like American TV and there's always been these shows on American TV and they always work, and James Corden's gone over there and he's made it work and all that. And so it was only ever 8 weeks. People didn't believe me, but I promise you, it was only, we can't afford to do any more than 8 weeks. And it was an experiment. Did it work? Not really.
Why?
But I think there's a million reasons. I don't think it's one big reason.
What's the top three?
Or
a couple of them. I mean, you know,
no, I think the
what
top
was
three
the biggest problem?
With hindsight, I think a different host every week, which we all thought was a marvellous idea at the time, made it very difficult for the production team because the sort of theory was you'd build the show and then in would slot these jolly interesting fun people week by week and sort of change it a bit, make it their own. What happened was, of course, show week 4, on come a new host and he goes, I'm not fucking doing that. And you had to sort of reinvent the show. So the first 2 nights were like, oh my God, we've got to do that. And then you'd kind of find your feet, and then it was time to get the new host in. So I think that maybe we should have...
Presenter's fault, I get it.
It's the presenter's fault. Then I suppose 10 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock just too early, particularly for ITV. Maybe it was just a bit of a shock. So I don't know, a number of things.
And what about the kind of furore around the decision to move the news? I mean, why did you take that decision?
Because I wanted to try it at 10 o'clock. Because the problem, one of the challenges with our ITV schedule is it's quite locked down. And at 10 o'clock, we go to the news, which is commercially not that significant. It takes you through with regional news and all the rest of it to 10:45, by which time you've said good night. And one of the things that 10 o'clock could do, and probably will do one day, is open up the channel for a sort of to extend prime time beyond where it is at the moment. Because at the moment, we go 9 to 10 and then we do the news. And so, you know, other channels, not the BBC so much, but Channel 4 and all the digital channels, 10 o'clock's a really important time for them for trying new things, getting big audiences, all the rest of it. So, look, I'm delighted with the news, and it was always going to come back there. So that the news isn't really the issue. The issue is, are there areas in the schedule that can increase our share, bring us more commercial revenue, and make us look more lively?
And are you going to persist with that experimental approach?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think next year, one of the things, if you're hard on yourself, and I am, the truth is, what Saturday night show that started, in the last 5, 6, 7 years, early in the evening, has really gone on to establish itself as a big hit on any channel on television at the moment? And the answer is sort of nothing. And some lovely shows, some good shows, some shows that are still around, but they're not big hits. They're just good shows that are still there or not there. And so I thought one of the things we could do is, when we've got a show we believe in, if ITV sort of does a big drum roll and says, right, come and have a look at this, we think this is going to work, and maybe strip it across the week in peak time, that sort of thing, then I think people will come and have a look. And that's your first task, is to get people to just come and have a bloody look at it to start with. It's very difficult on a sort of, on a Saturday night at 7:30 against Strictly or something. It's really difficult. And the BBC has found this. I'm sure Kate and Charlotte would say the same thing. They've got that great wall of entertainment success that we do every Saturday night against them, which is partly why they haven't been able to grow big hits. It's really difficult. And so I think if we try some, and it'll be next year, we'll do this on a number of occasions, try big shows and say, roll up, here is our big new entertainment show, do you like it? And for a week or 10 days, however long the show merits, we'll do this to, one, break up the regularity of the schedule, and to try and get new people in. And just, if you stumble across a show that really will work, then it's going to be a joyous moment. Because our biggest shows, like I'm a Celebrity and Britain's Got Talent, these are stripped across the week. So people are used to watching shows, familiar to watching shows in that way. And Love Island, in a slightly different example, every night for 7 weeks at the same time. I'm not going to do that on the main channel. But that's a way of slightly waking people up and saying, hey, come and have a look at this, we're trying something new.
And what about that attitude extending into drama? Is that
drama
going to be your view across the board? Yes,
drama is, though, people have a great, enormous range of drama to choose from, and we're interested in drama that gets many, many viewers. So beautifully crafted little things are not really what we're after. I'm going to watch them as a viewer, but they probably won't find their place on ITV. We can do serious. It doesn't have to all be big entertaining or big thriller or exciting stuff. Look at Jeff Pope's Little Boy Blue earlier this year. It was a brilliant, serious drama about a subject that was really emotional. It rated incredibly well for us, like 7-8 million viewers or something. So we can do that, and we are doing better. But you saw with Trauma, in a way, it's a small thing. It's 3 hours, but I think with that cast and us getting really behind it and saying, here's a great big drama on ITV, I think people will come in big numbers, I hope.
Okay. Plenty of indies still complain that they can't compete with ITV Studios companies when it comes to pitching. How would you answer them and reassure them?
Yeah, I think there's, I think 63% of something of what we make is made by the companies that we own and ourselves. But vast chunks of that is made up of Coronation Street in Emmerdale, Good Morning Britain this morning, those sorts of things. So a lot of indies work for ITV in various ways. And as you heard Shu and Sue say, the thing to do, however big you are, is to get in to see them, which I'm sure I bark at them all the time about. You've got to see more people. Come in, start the dialogue about, I've got this idea or this sort of thing, what do you think? And then get their help and expertise in helping you to get it on. So there really is genuinely a lot of opportunity, particularly, I'd say, in Sue's area.
Yeah, well, I asked Sue what's missing. I mean, what would you say?
I'm like her. I'd say some more fucking hits, please. But I think the genre thing is it's a hit never came by some twat in a suit sort of prescribing. So to say, oh, we haven't got a cookery show, we need a cookery show. Yeah, all right, cookery show if you've got one, but there's one starting next week apparently. But I don't care what it's about, but what Sue said is absolutely true, that to reach a lot of people, it needs to be something that touches a lot of people in an everyday way. And you see it, with current affairs shows. I even remember running all sorts of current affairs shows. But if you do one, we used to joke, if the ratings were quite bad and you thought, God, people aren't watching the current affairs very much, do a what's in their sandwich this week. And the ratings always go up like this. So there are touchstones that you can go that people do it. And I think with ITV, it is about what are people actually concerned with? What are they worried about? What are they interested in? What can they relate to? And we all live in this sort of media world, and our habits and our lifestyles are very different, seriously different to the way most people live. Just things like, because it's a very metropolitan world, most people in London don't get home till sort of 7:30 later. Most people working in London and the South commute for an hour. An hour is not at all unusual, an hour and a half, lots of people commute. Outside of London, we did this big research piece, most people are home by 6 o'clock. Working people are home by 6 o'clock. And that's why our 6 o'clock news hour does so well, partly, because there are a load of people watching, and they have a different lifestyle to us. They happy to watch the news. Those are the people that watch Emmerdale. I bet hardly anybody in this room watches Emmerdale. But in Yorkshire and Lancashire, Emmerdale has something unbelievable, like a 75% share of viewing at that time.
And does that mean then more commissioning from the nations and regions?
Could do, yeah. I think it's the diversity in the wider sense of, are we relating to the people who watch our shows? And we could always do better than that.
Okay. And what about the importance of 9 p.m? I mean, you've talked about that. Are you still in the business of must-watch TV?
Yeah, I think 9 o'clock is the great beacon for us. Must
Why?
be, because we are primarily a soap channel in the week, only in the weekday, between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. There's 11 half hours of soap in that period. And I'm delighted and proud, and it's an amazing, extraordinary thing that brings home the bacon in every way, and they're sort of brilliant shows. But if you don't watch the soaps, I get it. It's very hard to get a new viewer in to watch Coronation Street or Emmerdale. It's mainly people who it's been part of their lives forever, part of their families, part of their parents' lives. And that's our heartland core audience. And so at 9 o'clock, so if you don't watch the soaps, you look and you think, what's on ITV? I don't really look much before 9. So 9 o'clock becomes that place where our sales teams are desperate to get the people who don't necessarily watch a lot of ITV, because we've been bombarding them with ads all through the earlier hours of peak time. And at 9 we want to get in the people who maybe don't watch so much ITV. And so what does that? Drama and sport. And so we've got to stay in the drama and sport game. And so I want to be able to do more drama. We do a lot now. We don't do as much as the BBC, but we do a lot, and it does an incredible job for us.
And what about the Saturday night? Is that still an opportunity?
Yeah, Saturday night is sort of absolutely vital. And we're in a very fortunate position that there's so many returning proper big hits. So the trick is, as I've bored on about before, is to keep those at the top of their game and not let them slide away and fail, which we're doing, and Stu and everyone's working terribly hard on that. But it's also to make way for new shows. We have to be quite brutal. I think we'll try new things, and if they don't rate, they'll probably dead and won't come back, no matter how much we really like them. I think it's quite a sort of hard-arsed way of looking at it, that if it doesn't get sort of, it depends where it is and what's against it and that sort of thing, but it needs to get 3 to 4 million viewers. And we're in the business of trying to find the next generation of X Factors, Britain's Got Talent, and I'm Celebrities and The Voice. And so when we look at a show, if we think, is this show, and I would honestly ask yourselves this when you're pitching shows to us, is this show really capable of getting over 5 million viewers every Saturday night on ITV? Because there's some lovely shows that will never do that. And we're not that interested in those. We want to find shows that will become the great household brands that everybody loves.
And are there possibilities in the pipeline? Or?
Yeah. There's because we're quite brutal on things that don't work, there's always stuff to come. So yeah, I mean, there's at least sort of, I don't know, 7, 8 new slots next year for new entertainment shows.
Okay.
And they're obviously very well funded.
Okay, I'm going to take a question from the app now, which thank you for sending these in. Will you shelve I'm a Celeb for a year or replace Ant if he isn't ready to return to host the show?
How very dare you. No, Ant is doing really well, and we're expecting him to return for I'm a Celebrity. So, no, we won't rest it. It'll be on.
Irreplaceable, isn't it?
Yeah.
ITV content is great, but more and more audiences want to watch on demand. Any plans to invest in the tech behind ITV Hub? Currently, V-clunky for user.
Oh, I hate that person. No, yes, the Hub is vital. It's really gone through a big revolution in the last few years, and it should be. I'm terribly depressed if it's not working some way, because mine works perfectly well. And it is more and more a way people like to watch our programme, so it's very important, and so we will keep investing and making it bigger, yes.
Mm-hmm. What's the future of scripted comedy on ITV1?
Bleak.
Harsh but fair. He did say brutal.
No, look, I've spent half my life making comedies and stuff, some really bad ones and some wonderful ones, and it is the toughest thing to get to work on ITV. There's no question about it. There hasn't really been a hit sitcom in quite a while. They pinched Birds of a Feather a few years ago. That worked really well, but, that's cheating. Mm-hmm. And I would say, I think, that part of the reason for this is the increase in the amount of soap and the fact that Coronation Street particularly is genuinely really funny. And it's got what sitcom had, which is you spend time with characters, and it's about all the comedy comes out of the characters. So just because you know them so well, if they come on set and go, oh, where's the water? Everybody laughs because you know why that's funny. And that has eaten up a lot of the slots and gives an audience, I think, a lot of the sort of the comedy drug that they want.
We've got a question about Corrie, actually. What night of the week's the extra Corrie going to air?
I can't, am I allowed to say? I can't remember. No.
Yes, you're allowed to say.
Yes.
Are you asking me?
Yes. It can't be that hard. Can't be that hard. But it'll go in the most perfect place.
Okay. And which other channel would you like to run? I quite like that.
What, because I've run all the others? I don't know.
It's interesting to have a point of comparison.
Yes, I think Dave +1 is probably my channel. I don't know. I'm delighted to be running ITV. I don't want to run anyone else.
Mm-hmm. And you've referred to Harry Hill already. We've got another one here that's just come in. How big a consideration is performance on ITV Hub in commissioning programmes in the first place?
Well, I think for younger viewers, we saw with Love Island, particularly, I don't want to go on about it, but it was such a hit. It transformed the Hub, and now I think 75% of all 1634s in this country have registered for the Hub, which is wonderful. So the Hub is just, is it taken into account when we commission? I think no, but it is going to be soon. And I think Love Island has shown us that, the overnight is one measurement of how well a show is doing. There's then the catch-up, and the catch-up can be on the Hub, can be on your PVR, can be in all sorts of ways. And we are, as all commercial stations are, in the process of working out the way to maximise how you make money out of these shows when more and more people watch it in catch-up. Drama particularly is the most downloaded and watched later. And for a commercial channel, the challenge is, some of that is on your video and you fast forward through the ads. That's not good for us. If you watch it on the Hub, you do watch the ads, that's brilliant for us. And we've just got to play with that. But ultimately, you start with the premise that the more people watching ITV programming on any fucking device is a good thing.
Somebody's asking about Harry Hill and, the fact that he has struggled a little bit since TV Burp ended. Yeah. You've said that you're going to bring back...
Yes, Fun Capsule. Yeah, I just loved it. I thought it was really funny. And I think maybe we didn't put it in the right place, so it'll come back in the sort of burpy slot on Saturday night early, because he's so adored by kids and things. But that's one weakness of mine where I just thought it was so good. I think the viewers will come eventually.
And what about the nightly show? Someone's asked there.
Is that coming back? No. Certainly not at 10 o'clock. I think I think, and so the challenge is, can it work for us later, that sort of thing. Don't know.
We've only got a minute left, so I'm
Okay.
going to ask one more quick question. We've talked a lot about prime time entertainment, factual drama, not really about news.
Yep.
Is that still a consideration?
News,
for
I
you?
think news is more vital than ever. I think everybody now is worried about fake news and not fake news, and what ITV and ITN together are is the absolute major alternative to the BBC, which is brilliant. And so it's never been more vital, I would say. And I think with the election coverage, you know, ITV really woke up with that, and we had the fantastic Osballs combination, which was fun, and I thought our election coverage was brilliant. And so the news now, with Tom leading the 10 o'clock, and the oft neglected 6:30 news is vital. That gets 3.5–4 million viewers. You know, it's interesting here, people, because again we are in this media bubble that and I used to run Channel 4 and talk about Channel 4 News all the time, but ITV News is getting sort of 7 times the ratings. And our regional output, we have 17 regional news divisions. I'm making my way around all of them, and I have to say, they're incredibly impressive. People work extraordinarily hard. You know, it was a sort of joke, imagine the Channel Islands. And you think, yeah, somebody's got to make half an hour every day about news in the Channel Islands. That's tricky. Whereas in Birmingham, I was in Birmingham and I said, God, so every day is it sometimes difficult? And they went, there's always a murder. So, but the regional news thing is really important for us because, you know, we spend £100 million on news. And the regional news is tentacles deep into the local communities, which is so vital for ITV. And you go outside of London, ITV is probably their first choice.
We're outside of London right now, you know, though.
Oh, no. Well, hopefully they like regional news here.
Well, I think that's all we've got time for.
Right.
Thank you very much. And thank you, of course, to our sponsor broadcast. Thank you, Kevin Lygo.
Thank you.